Matt Levi Investigates is brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. The Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, Hawaii's Carpenters Union. Hawaii State AFL-CIO, using our collective strength to advance the interest of all workers. HMSA, caring for our kupuna and Hawaii's families. It's our promise and our privilege. Kamehameha Schools, the Rehabilitation Hospital of the Pacific. Learn more about Rehab's new comprehensive pain management program at rehabhospital.org. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs and the Queen's Health Systems, Hawaii's healthcare leader.
She said she saw a fentanyl death from the Big Island. And I was like, what's fentanyl? And I talked to a lot of people who have no idea about fentanyl, and they say the same thing, what's fentanyl?
This is a situation where you try it once, you could die. Many people are dying.
Some of the cities in the mainland that are really getting hit hard, they're dealing with up to 100 people per day that are passing away from opiate overdose.
This is an epidemic. This is now an emergency, a crisis in our country.
I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even think that I was hooked.
I think maybe the intensity is stronger. Any addict will always be drawn to the more intense relief.
Fentanyl was the best one. If you got fentanyl, you hit gold. You hit the big one.
We have to prepare ourselves from this tide of fentanyl from reaching our shores.
It is a medication used to treat cancer patients and people in severe pain. The most powerful narcotic on the planet. There is nothing stronger. Fentanyl and its highly potent cousin carfentanil are sweeping the nation, responsible in part for the dramatic rise in opioid overdoses. It's taken hold in communities on the East Coast, is making its way west, creeping into our islands. Tonight we investigate fentanyl, killer drug. This is the real deal.
As real as it can get. And I know people have, you hear about meth, you hear about heroin, you hear about coke and LSD, and that's somebody else's kid, that's somebody else's community. But I'm telling you, in my years with DEA, nothing has been as deadly as this.
America is in the midst of an opioid epidemic. In 2016 alone, more than 63,000 people died from drug overdoses, up 21% from the year before. The impact is so substantial, life expectancy in the U.S. has dropped. The last time that happened was in 1993, at the height of the AIDS epidemic. Opioids are highly addictive painkillers. They can be legal medications like morphine and oxycodone, or illegal street drugs like heroin. At the heart of this crisis is fentanyl.
Fentanyl is a synthetic heroin. It's far, far more powerful than heroin.
Fentanyl is up to 100 times stronger than morphine. 2 milligrams of pure fentanyl, the size of only 4 grains of salt, is enough to kill an adult. Then there's carfentanil, a much more fatal version of the drug, used to tranquilize elephants. It is 100 times stronger than fentanyl. Gary Abuta is the director of Hawaii HIDA, or High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, whose mission is to stop the flow of drugs into the state. He says fentanyl is here in Hawaii. It's manufactured for next to nothing in China. Drug dealers in Mexico and on the mainland U.S. mix it with more expensive drugs like heroin or cocaine to up the potency of their product and lower the cost. It can also be pressed into pills and sold as fake pharmaceuticals.
And that's the scary part about it, is that the person that consumes fentanyl might not even know about it. This is a poison. This will kill you before you take your second breath.
But that poison hasn't taken hold here, the same way that it is overwhelming some cities on the mainland. The DEA's John Callery says there's still time to stop it, but they have to move fast.
My office here in Hawaii, we've doubled the amount of diversion investigators we have, and their job in diversion is to look at pharmacies and doctors to make sure that they're all doing the right thing.
That's because this is a problem that often starts not on the street, but at the pharmacy. What begins as a legitimate treatment for pain can become a full-fledged drug addiction.
I saw one study that said 1 in 30 people in this country is a regular user of non-prescription opiates. So if you're at Ala Moana and you pass 30 people, one of them is a regular user of illicit opiates.
So how does that happen, and what can be done to stop it?
I'd earned my living, but behind the doors, I was swallowing pills just so that I feel better about myself.
3 women in recovery share their stories. Our Yunji Denise has an inside look at why this addiction is so hard to break. And later, how fentanyl is a threat to first responders.
Queens brings preventive care to my community.
They help me get back on my feet.
Queens technology keeps my heart beating strong.
They gave me back my wife.
The Queens Health Systems, providing statewide preventive and specialty care backed by Hawaii's healthcare leader. When it matters most, we are Queens, keeping the health of Hawaii strong.
I have stab wounds on the chest.
Help us save a life.
Please move out of the way for emergency vehicles.
Help us save lives.
Please do your part to save a life.
Please move for emergency vehicles.
Is he okay? Is he breathing yet?
Ma'am, I'm doing everything that I can. I'm working on him.
Please do your part.
Help us save lives.
It could be your family member.
This is a family in motion. Every day is nonstop with school, after school rehearsals, paddling, baseball, football, plus doctors, dentists, and the not so expected appointments. We need a health plan that works with our schedule, wherever we are, and our crazy busy life.
With HMSA, you choose your own doctors and medical facilities close to where you live, work, and play.
For our crazy busy life, we choose HMSA.
To learn more, visit hmsa.com.
OHA invests in housing stability for Native Hawaiians.
We hit a rough patch several years back and ended up houseless. OHA grantee, Hawaiian Community Assets, gave us the tools we needed to turn our lives around.
With OHA's help,
this is now our new home.
OHA, empowering Hawaiians, strengthening Hawaii.
Nova Lynn Tagata has walked down this hallway hundreds of times. On the other side of that window is methadone, a daily medication keeping her sober after years of abusing opioids.
I did not look the part as a junkie at all. I had a nice car, I had a nice house.
A working mother raising 3 kids, unwinding on the weekends with alcohol and a few pain pills mixed in.
It was a way of congratulating myself that I did a good job this week. You went to work, so you get to party all weekend.
Eventually, the partying took over. She became addicted to opioids. From oxycodone to heroin, Nova Lynn did it all, even fentanyl when she could find it.
Because we did whatever we could to achieve the best high, and fentanyl would give you that high better than any opiate or opioid.
What is it like?
It shuts everything off. Basically within seconds. Once it hits, everything goes away.
Making everything go away was exactly what drew Kalama Colburn to opioids. A caregiver to her aging grandparents, she suffered a back injury and began taking some of her grandmother's medication for pain.
You know, you hear of drugs being out on the street and you getting it from a drug dealer. You don't think of it as something that you're being prescribed at the doctor's, that you could get hooked on.
She was also depressed, and the medication gave her physical and emotional comfort.
For me and my depression, it was It was a magic pill.
So when you would take them, how would that make you feel?
It would numb it. It would numb the pain, you know? Sorry.
Kalama soon realized she was addicted and wanted nothing more than to stop.
I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed, you know, especially like having a grandfather who's a cop, a brother who's a cop.
But the pull of the pills was too strong.
Unfortunately, with opiates, if you use it for a period of time, it doesn't let you go.
Dr. Joseph Turbin has been helping people overcome addiction for more than a decade at Kualoha Olamau, a drug treatment and recovery center in Iwilei. He says opioids can take hold in a matter of just weeks.
When they study this in rats, there's one study where they would go press a bar and they'd get their little opiate fix, but then they would also get an electric shock. And each time they went back, the shock got higher and higher. Yet the rats would keep going back until they literally electrocuted themselves.
Unless you're opiate addicted, you do not understand the kind of pain this withdrawal feels like.
Storm Holtzman has battled addiction for 2 decades. A bad fall in her 20s led to pain medications. When her prescriptions ran out, she turned to heroin.
I know heroin sounds so horrible, backstreet criminal, but it's so available, and it's in many ways a lot more affordable.
The pain of withdrawal led her to try just about anything.
Anyone who's been opiate addicted for a while eventually runs the gamut of all the opiates. And I came across fentanyl just a couple times in what they call the lollipop form.
Those lollipops designed for people with cancer who need medicine but can no longer swallow pills. A heroin overdose was her wake-up call.
And the next thing I remembered was the snap you hear when the gurney is brought from the ground up to rolling.
For Kalama, it was a moment of desperation.
When I started searching through my bags for whatever pill I had to take a step back and look at myself and be like, oh, okay.
For Nova Lynn, it was losing almost everything.
When I was sitting on the side of the road on a cardboard box, I haven't showered for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I had no shoes on my feet. I was talking to myself, and my family would literally drive past me already. That was my last time.
All 3 are now off opioids, thanks in large part to methadone.
It keeps people out of withdrawal. And so it takes away the physical craving, the mental craving, the flu-like illness that people get.
It's like you've been in a house burning, trying to breathe, and you're only breathing smoke, and you finally step outside and get a breath of fresh air.
If you didn't have this medication in your life, what do you think, what's the trajectory of that path?
I'd be either out on the street, or maybe I'd have committed suicide. I mean, or I don't know.
So you saved your life.
Yeah, this place has saved my life.
I can be responsible and be a parent now. I've gained almost everything back that I didn't have a year ago. I've gained it all back.
But drugs have also taken so much from Nova Lynn. Just a few months ago, her 33-year-old sister Naomi died of an overdose.
I only hoped or wished that I could tell my sister that it feels so good. It feels so good being sober. We could have did it. She could have did it.
Sobriety isn't easy, but it's worth the fight.
Hope. There is hope. There is success. There is life after addiction.
Still ahead, the strain on first responders.
It's difficult for the ER to run as an ER to take care of people with heart attacks and strokes.
How fentanyl is impacting the ER and the danger for those who encounter it out in the field when we come back. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, the State Department of Health's Treatment and Recovery Branch can help. Call 692-7522.
We are emergency medical services.
We are there for your emergencies.
Oahu's 20 EMS units responded to more than 86,000 of your emergencies last year.
We are EMS.
We are there for your emergencies.
Whatever your own goals are in life, for you or your family, get to work, stick with it, and make it happen.
I've always been excited about building.
It's a challenge, but I love challenges.
You got to be willing to work hard.
We expect the workers out there to produce.
Coming to work every day.
It's hard work, so you have to be responsible and
be on time.
Be on time.
And be very reliable.
Come early.
And then show up with a good attitude.
Having pride in yourself, in the work you do.
I don't mind pounding nails.
We all want to get the same job done.
As long as you pull your weight and be safe about it.
A lot of dedication and hard work.
I'm able to provide for my family. I was able to buy my first home, which is awesome.
I feel I have a brighter future.
A better lifestyle for me and my family.
I can see myself going somewhere.
If you like what you do, I don't consider it hard work at all.
Better lives and better futures. Build a better Hawaii for all of us. A message from the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, Hawaii's Carpenters Union.
OHA invests in housing stability for Native Hawaiians.
We hit a rough patch several years back and ended up houseless. OHA grantee, Hawaiian Community Assets, gave us the tools we needed to turn our lives around.
With OHA's help,
this is now our new home.
OHA, empowering Hawaiians, strengthening Hawaii.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly how many people in Hawaii are addicted to opioids, but state officials put the number of people who need substance abuse treatment overall at 150,000 people, triple what it was just 10 years ago. With more addiction come more overdoses.
Probably once or twice a day between the two busiest ERs in the state here at Queens, we see somebody with a narcotic overdose.
The most immediate and effective fix is naloxone, sold under the brand name Narcan, an opioid antagonist that can reverse an overdose within minutes.
We want to make sure they're breathing and getting enough oxygen so they'll kind of wake up and take breaths.
It's critical to get Narcan into the patient as quickly as possible, which is why paramedics rely on it in the field. In the last 10 years, Honolulu EMS use of Narcan has nearly tripled. But not everyone survives. More people in Hawaii die from drug overdoses than are killed in car accidents.
Fentanyl, heroin, pills,
and they're often mixed together.
And they like to multi-dose themselves, polysubstance themselves
Or
too.
the pushers are cutting it and then selling it mixed already, and they don't know what they're really getting.
Absolutely, yeah.
The added patients are straining the system.
We're tying up a precious bed that we need for other sick patients, and that could be a trauma victim or a young child with a fever, or somebody having a stroke.
Because fentanyl is so potent, 50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine, the drug itself can also be a danger to first responders.
If it gets into the mucous membranes, it can be absorbed, so they've really got to cover up from head to toe to prevent any of this substance getting into contact with them.
There have been a handful of cases on the mainland where police officers have come into contact with fentanyl and overdosed, needing Narcan themselves.
This is the one that's become a big issue in law enforcement.
Captain Mike Jones helps to train fellow firefighters. On this day, he's giving HFD's top brass a crash course on fentanyl.
Some cities, the coroner's office is overwhelmed to the point where they're actually considering renting refrigeration trucks just to store the people who are passing away from the drug overdoses. Okay? To give some perspective, on Oahu Queens Hospital, their morgue could probably take about 20 people at one time. In some cities in the mainland US, people are dying 100 people per day from overdosing on opiates.
70% of HFD's calls are no longer fire-related. They are medical. Firefighters are often on scene before paramedics arrive. That means fentanyl is something they will inevitably encounter.
This is EMS, fire, PD, DEA, NED, we all have to be aware of this because we all have a potential to come across these incidences.
Accidental exposure has not happened yet in Hawaii. Jones hopes that training and proper safety precautions will keep it that way. But fentanyl is here, with more coming every day. Coming up, stemming the tide.
If we don't get out in front of this, there's going to be hell to pay.
Can fentanyl be stopped in Hawaii?
This is a family in motion. Every day is nonstop, with school, after-school rehearsals, paddling, baseball, football, plus doctors, dentists, and the not-so-expected appointments.
We need a health plan that works with our schedule, wherever we are, and our crazy busy life.
With HMSA, you choose your own doctors and medical facilities close to where you live, work, and play.
For our crazy busy life, we choose HMSA.
To learn more, visit hmsa.com.
Queens brings preventive care to my community.
They help me get back on my feet.
Queens technology keeps my heart beating strong.
They gave me back my wife.
The Queens Health Systems, providing statewide preventive and specialty care backed by Hawaii's healthcare leader when it matters most. We are Queens, keeping the health of Hawaii strong.
We are emergency medical services.
We are there for your emergencies.
Oahu's 20 EMS units responded to more than 86,000 of your emergencies last year.
We are EMS.
We are there for your emergencies.
If you need proof that fentanyl has reached the islands, look no further than Kauai. Just a few months ago, Kauai police stopped a car and seized 400 grams of black tar heroin and 23 grams of fentanyl. Remember, just 2 milligrams of pure fentanyl can kill an adult.
There's no comparison when it comes to cocaine or meth or PCP. Those are addictive and deadly drugs, but not immediately fatal like fentanyl is.
Why should the average Hawaii citizen care about fentanyl?
The average citizen should probably Google the effects of opioid overdoses, fentanyl overdoses in states like Ohio, in cities like Boston or outside of Boston, in Kentucky. Not just the overdose and dying part, the living part is just as debilitating to a family and to people of addicts.
The state is taking action. The Department of Health's Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division is implementing a plan to stop opioid abuse, in part by treating addiction more like a chronic illness and less like a crime. There's a move to establish prescription drug drop boxes within police stations statewide so that excess medicine doesn't wind up in the wrong hands. They're also pushing for more drug treatment options as an alternative to incarceration. It's a move law enforcement stands behind.
We're not going to arrest our way out of it. We're not going to, do it by putting people in our prisons that are right now completely overloaded to the point where every time I put someone in, we're kicking someone out.
We're needing treatment here in Hawaii more than anything. We cannot lock addicts up and think that this is going to go away.
A law passed in the last legislative session limits opioid prescriptions to just 7 days because people can get hooked on these powerful narcotics in a matter of weeks. And doctors need to say no, even when patients push back.
And if they come in requesting medicine for pain and we think they may or may not be using that medicine appropriately, we kind of have a duty to help educate them. And what we tend to say is that there's only one thing more important than treating your pain, and that's making sure you're safe.
Recovery centers, such as the nonprofit Kualoha Olamau, are a testament to the difference therapy combined with a medication like methadone can make.
I work. I'm able to function like a normal adult. You would walk down the street and not know that I'm on medicine for that.
Centers such as this need more funding, but ultimately it takes patients who are committed to quit.
It's not like you can flick a switch and go, okay, here's your methadone, okay, now you're perfectly cured, go about your way. No, there is, in a lot of cases, a lifetime of pathology that led up to them being susceptible to substance abuse.
These women battling addiction hope sharing their stories will inspire others to get help or never try these drugs in the first place.
You will suffer unimaginably, but also the ones that love you suffer with you, you know.
My only advice is stop, kill it, end it now, seek help immediately.
And there is community. The more we all know, the more we can help each other.
The solution to this is three-pronged. It's education, education, and education.
Most of these efforts cost money. The health department is asking the legislature for more funding to keep the anti-opioid initiative going.
For every dollar of prevention, you save $11 of incarceration. I'm saying that as a prosecutor. We need to be proactive rather than reactive.
The good news is that for Hawaii, it's not too late. Unlike other cities and states, fentanyl and the havoc that comes with it is a possibility but not a certainty. And there's a unified force fighting back.
I've never seen anything like it in my career at DEA where everybody has a piece in this. The medical community, the pharmacy community, the politicians, the average person on the street. So I think there's an ability to stop it, but we have to work as a team.
The stakes could not be higher. Fentanyl truly is a killer drug. Whether it takes hold where we live is up to all of us. I'm Matt Levi. For Yunji Denise and our entire team, thank you for joining us. Good night.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, the State Department of Health's Treatment and Recovery Branch can help. Call 692-7522.
Matt Levi Investigates was brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. The Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters, Hawaii's Carpenters Union. Hawaii State AFL-CIO, using our collective strength to advance the interest of all workers. HMSA, caring for our kupuna and Hawaii's families. It's our promise and our privilege. Kamehameha Schools. The Rehabilitation Hospital of the Pacific. Learn more about Rehab's new comprehensive pain management program at rehabhospital.org. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And the Queen's Health Systems, Hawaii's healthcare leader.